Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne. So I got some updates for you on certain things. So we're going to do update on Dim Tim. He's finally made a decision. There was also an article that was brought to my attention about the Fixated Persons Unit and what they did to somebody else. So the person that has been there's a person that is now homeless after dealings with the Fixated Persons Unit. So, hello. Let me just say hello to everybody first. So I've got Rufus and Bruce and Cal and Princess Jax and Bo. Hello. There is also something on Twitter about a possible leadership spill in federal politics. It's only a rumour, however it's got a lot of interest, and of course we need to talk about KJ at the very end. The other thing is, you'll notice that I have pinned a Facebook page on there. I need to give a big shout out to Rufus, and who has saved my bacon. He managed to save my music project, so I'm very grateful for that. And so I've linked his page, his Facebook page. So if you'd like to go give it a like, you can go and listen to his music. So I want to say thank you. I'm now not so stressed. I've had a few days of stressing out, so it's good. So thank you. All right. So let's start with... So as I said, make sure you like his page. I've tagged it so everybody knows it's flagged. All right, hopefully this works tonight because I actually did a whole restart on my computer. So Victorian MP Tim Smith will not contest the next election after his drink driving crash. That's right. He says the decision is best in the interest of party after terrible lapse in judgment. So he will not contest the next election after crashing his car while drunk last weekend. On Saturday night, he sent an email to Liberal Party members confirming he will not contest the next election in the seat of Kew. He returned a blood alcohol reading of 0.131, almost 3 times the legal limit, after he crashed into a car and a Hawthorn home on the night of the 30th of October, narrowly avoiding a child's bedroom. His licence was suspended and he's been fined $750. In Smith's email sent at midnight on Saturday, the QMP said he'd been deeply touched by the encouragement he'd received by Liberal Party supporters and members. This, however, does not excuse the terrible lapse of judgment that I made last weekend. I believe in the best interests of the party that I do not contest the next election in Kew. His decision comes just days after he declared he would not resign from politics, saying he would not drink again while he remains in public life. I'm never touching a drop, he said on Wednesday. I'm not mentally unwell. I'm an idiot. Hey, that's the truest thing he said. I'm incredibly regretful of what's occurred. Opposition leader Matthew Guy made public his unequivocal position that Smith should not contest the election on Tuesday. I made it clear to Tim he wouldn't find his way on the front bench of any parliamentary Liberal Party that I lead. And I made it clear I didn't want him to nominate at the next election, and I didn't believe he should nominate for the seat of Kew. So there you go. So Dim Tim is leave. It's funny because he's still keeping his salary for the moment. You know, I would have preferred myself if he'd gone now. Just, that's my own opinion. But anyway, they don't want to have a costly by-election. Well, oh really? So clocks turn back. Oh wow. Oh, so anyway, so he's not going to contest the next election next year, which is interesting. So I don't know. I mean, I've not had anything to say that it was his first or second DUI. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that. I shouldn't be yawning because I've slept most of the day because I gotta go to work tonight. I've been sleeping. But yeah, I can't confirm or deny that. Okay, so this is the story. So this is from a true crime news weekly, independent source of media. I was made homeless and fixated persons unit force-fed me drugs for blowing whistle on multi-million-dollar council corruption. Shocking true case of Adam Greenwood's battle with Barrel's shady bunch protected by dodgy New South Wales police cops and John Barilaro's mates. So this is another person that is talking about the incorrect use of the fixated persons unit. So it's not just Christo and Shanks. There seems to be we're starting to find a history. So this is an exclusive. The use of New South Wales controversial fixated persons unit has been likened to a proto-fascist squadron and political goon squad, with yet another horrifying story how it has been used to prevent public knowledge of political and police corruption. Disturbingly, the claims this time centre around a journalist who was forced into a mental hospital and then force-fed powerful psychotropic drugs after he truthfully blew the whistle on endemic corruption at a council in Barrel in the New South Wales Southern Highlands. It actually would seem that Shanks has got off lightly then, hasn't it? Reprehensibly, a number of people alleged to be behind the shocking abuse of power are close mates with the recently resigned and allegedly corrupt New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro, who was involved in the despicable harassment of Friendly Geordie's producer Christo Lenker. This major investigation into how the ecosystem of corruption operates within politics and the police from the regions of New South Wales to Sydney is beyond is presented by Melanie Coots and Serkan Ozturk. So this is the article now. So 5 years ago, regional journalist Adam Greenwood had a happy home life and was worth $700,000. Now he is broke, homeless and on the dole after New South Wales Police fixated persons unit was set upon him, used to shut him up and forcibly cut him off to a mental institution where he was force-fed powerful psychotropic drugs. His supposed crime or delusions, his campaign to truthfully blow the whistle on large scale, widespread, endemic corruption taking place around the town of Barrel in New South Wales' picturesque Southern Highlands. Corrupt councillors are alleged to have colluded with dodgy property developers, criminals and bent police officers for years to keep a gravy train in the tens of millions of dollars flowing for the benefit of the so-called Barrel Mafia. Yeah, I will, Bo. I know my body's just really confused at the moment. So the Barrel Mafia, otherwise known as the Shady Bunch, and it has links all the way to the highest levels of New South Wales government and senior staff of recently and allegedly corrupt New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro, deeply implicated. Adam has faced a strategic lawsuit against public participation, SLAP lawsuit, for many years to prevent him from telling his true life tale of political and police corruption. A story that stretches from the regions of New South Wales to the big smoke of Sydney and goes right to the top. Journalists, conservationists and activists all around the world are silenced by an avalanche of procedural abuses. Powerful corporations and governments often target those brave enough to report white-collar crime today. For Adam, it began in 2016 when he owned a home, worked as a journalist for a local newspaper, Latte Life, and reported the questionable conduct of councillors at Wingecarribee Shire. Well, Cal, he's only got the one against Google now, because the other one was settled. So, the former Mittagong Chamber of Commerce President, Charlie Johns, was responsible for the attack ads sign smearing Councillor Gary Turlin's opponents. 2 days after it was reported, Charlie purchased Latte Life Southern Highlands. When his purchase failed to stop Latte Life from publishing, he sent a letter to the advertisers with threats to boycott their businesses. It wasn't the first time Charlie was in the news for his questionable activities with the council. When his recycling company changed name, a debt for over $24,000 to the council was wiped. It was noted incorrectly that the business owner ceased trading and was unable to pay. So they've got here true crime strategic lawsuits against public participation, SLAP, and use of fixated persons unit. Jordan Shanks and his producer Chris Dolenko reported how John Barilaro and his father took over the Marco Polo Club, drove it into financial rule, and sold it for a cool $1 million. Adam Greenwood reported on the former director of strategy to John Barilaro, Jock Socha's connection with his father, and Mayor Duncan Gare on the Chelsea Gardens Kumangi development. Both Inspector Kleparski and Detective Senior Constable Elliot Merritt played a key role in using the Fixated Persons Unit to arrest Adam Greenwood in 2020 and Christo later this year. So the same police officers have been involved in both arrests. Charlie Johns was also believed to be the author of a letter sent to former councillor Jim Mulgar. Do us a big favour. Your immediate resignation could save us a lot of further pain and save us from doing a lot of reporting. You need to make it happen by Friday the 23rd of September to stop any further action. The police officer declined to investigate Jim Mulgar's complaint because they didn't believe the letter was a threat. Well, if someone tells you that you have to resign by a certain time, I don't know. Charlie's friend Gary Turlin was a developer, builder and councillor. It's a stretch not to view this enmeshment of roles as a one-stop shop for development applications. Gary's property stood to benefit from Station Street upgrade. In 2015, he declared his property as a significant pecuniary interest and abstained from voting. In 2017, he declared his property as a less than significant interest and continued to vote on the Station Street upgrade, a breach of the council's code of conduct. Prior to Jock Socha's role as the Director of Strategy to John Barilaro, he was a campaign assistant to Mayor Duncan Gare in 2012. He was also a witness for the Operation Keppel investigation in 2020 for his role in liaising with Louise Waterhouse. His father, Murray Socha, lobbied for the rezoning of his land unsuccessfully in 2010 for the Chelsea Gardens Kumangi development. Over the years, Duncan voted in favour of the project without declaring ties with the Socha family. A letter was sent to the Mayor and Deputy Mayor concerning at least 15 occasions between 2007 and 2017 where Duncan failed to declare his relationship with the Socha family, leading up to the 2016 council elections. The story made it to the front page of the local news. For the first time in many years, Duncan Gare was no longer mayor. Summarising his findings in a 4-minute parody, neither Adam nor those around him could have predicted what was to follow. It took 15 minutes to write the song and 4 hours of production, he said. The first legal action Adam recalls was when YouTube removed the video, The Strife and Crimes of Duncan Gare. I thought that would be the end of it. The legal letters began. Adam recalled that he offered $1,000 to settle the case, but they wanted $50,000. The only way I could afford $50,000 was selling my house, and if I was going to do that, then I may as well spend it fighting in court. Despite using the proceeds from the sale of his house to pay Top Silk Sue Chrysanthu, the strongest components of his case were struck out. It was not disputed. Duncan Gare admitted... Hang on a minute, do we have a conflict of interest? Do we have a conflict of interest? Do we have a conflict of interest? Sue Chrysanthou has been representing Bruz, and there is a link between Bruz and this guy through his chief of staff. Director of strategy, sorry. Do we have a conflict of interest? Sue Chrysanthou was representing this guy against so we go back to here. So he's talking about Duncan Gare. Prior, oh, not again, really? Not again. This is ridiculous. All right, I'll have to close this and reopen it again. Anyway, I have to not close it again. By the looks of it. So he was helping somebody. So there is a link between Bruz's strategy manager and wow. That's pretty amazing. Like, I find that to be, no, it's still not working. All right. Why? I actually totally and utterly restarted. Let me try that again. I totally restarted my whole laptop this morning to make sure it wasn't going to happen again. It must be a restream problem. All right, so it's just interesting that this guy has links, and we've got Sue Chrysanthou appearing again, and she has links to Bruz. I'm going to try a different way. See if this works. No. All right, I'm going to put that article here. Why is that doing that? Punch it. Oh, I'm about to punch it. Oh. All right, here's the link. You can all look at it yourself. Have a look at it yourself. So we've got Sue Chrysanthou appearing. That's the thing that's got me concerned. And we've got Barilaro and Sue Chrysanthou in the same article, in the same article. And she's now representing Barilaro. And she represented somebody against the Fixated Persons Unit. It's bizarre. I'm just finding this to be shocking. No. So anyway, I supported him on his projects for 20 years, helped him make, it was not disputed, Duncan Gare admitted the following about another councillor. I supported him on his projects for 20 years, helped him make millions. The issue in the trial was whether the evidence left was tantamount to corrupt or criminal behaviour. It came down to corrupt behaviour. A corrupt con man. Where have we heard corruption allegations before? I'm getting really suspicious about all of this. I've not watched Games of Thrones either, to be honest with you. So I'm just seeing if I can find something to do with general settings, share screen. No. course there's not. Of course there's not. All right. So it says in 2018, when Charlie Johns made a complaint to the police against Adam for vocally stating his actions amounted to criminal behaviour in public, at a council chambers and in the supermarket, Charlie made no allegations of violence or threats to him. He conceded in his statements that Adam was quiet when the meeting began. To support his application, I'm going to just try this one actually, see if I can get myself streamed again. Oh, there I am. No. Over the course of 2018, Adam was making all sorts of allegations about myself and other members of the Wingerbee Council. As a result, some of these allegations as defamation case was commenced against Action. These orders were later varied to restrain him from writing anything about Charlie Johns. The officer in charge was John Kilpatrick. Adam had written to him asking him to investigate the council. He later submitted complaints to the police, ICAC, and the local government authority to no avail. So we have got, this is like a copycat of Shanks, really, of the whole Shanks thing, in my opinion. So, is anybody else finding this horrifying? Oh yes, here we go. I've just got to remember not to close it. Maybe it won't load now. All right. So, this is the slap suit used by wealthy and powerful in a bid to hide corrupt activities and possible criminal behaviour. So, forum shopping. Well, now there's not a court case. And this is what When Adam continued to post on Facebook about his situation, he was charged with multiple breaches of the AVO in early 2020. So he an AVO. All offences were related to Facebook posting. Members of the police supplied statements in overwhelming support of Charlie Johns and littered the material with complaints of their own. Adam referred to the police statements as stitched up by dirty cops, and the brief contains continual mentions of me complaining about being stitched up by dirty cops. Court documents showed Adam had no fixed abode at the time. The police were offended with the parody video, the shady bunch, the comments that suggested their actions were less than transparent. One police officer's statement highlighted the level of attention towards Adam Greenwood's case. She was on leave when the video was received by the police. Inspector Kletzarski discussed the video in the morning of her first day back. So let's have a look. Let's watch the shady bunch. Where are we? We've got no sound, right? We've got no sound? Have I got no sound? All right. So it was August 2020 when he was arrested by the Fixated Persons Unit. Sergeant Greg McNamara, under the command of Kleber, believed to have issued the direction. Adam was in confinement for 3 days at Campbelltown Hospital and force-fed powerful, mind-altering drugs. He doesn't remember the name of the medication he was given, only that it was wafer-like. Detective Senior Constable Elliot Merritt threatened Adam with more charges with regards to being locked up for 3 days. Merritt threatened him with more charges and further incarceration. if he didn't take the Shady Bunch song down from YouTube. SC Elliott also involved in the Fixated Persons Unit arrest of Jordan Shank's producer, Christo Lanka. Bob, wow. The final defamation judgment was made on the 1st of October 2020 against Adam Greenwood without his presence or representation. He refused to suffer in silence under repercussions of corruption on the community, and for that he lost everything. Merritt threatened me with more charges and further incarceration if I didn't take down the Shady Bunch. When Duncan was asked why he went to the Supreme Court when the jurisdiction was in the District Court, he said, "We had to go to Supreme Court because he wouldn't take down the original post, so it cost us $1,500 to get the darn thing taken down." On the 10th of January, Charlie Johns passed away. The police tried to claim he'd breached the order 3 days later. The breach was thrown out. So they tried to claim that the guy had breached an order when the guy had died 3 days before. Thankfully, he wasn't the only member of the community troubled by the corruption at Wingecarribee Shire Council. People I didn't know came over and thanked me in the street. He said there was a petition to sack the council in 2018, signed by 500 residents. After the 2020 bushfires, Duncan Gare announced a mayoral relief fund. He donated $50,000 from the council to the fund and then distributed the funds with cash cards. In a review on bushfire recovery efforts, the author noted there was no evidence that cash cards were distributed to fire-affected residents. So let's have a listen. Oh, here we go.
Hello, my name's Adam Greenwood and I'm fighting to save my life. In 2016, I wrote a 4-minute parody song about 2 councillors of the Wingecarribee Shire. For 18 months, the councillors have relentlessly pursued me in the Supreme Court of New South Wales for defamation. The cost of the court case has been staggering. I've had to sell my house to fund my defence, and the stress and pressure of the case has been so intense I had to give up my career as a disability support worker, and I've been unemployed for over 12 months. Ironically, the 2 people suing me have since been elected Mayor and Deputy Mayor of the Wingecarribee Shire. And while their lives, careers and private interests have flourished in the community, the last couple of years have seen my life destroyed. And the whole thing smells like rotten fish, if you ask me. Take the Southern Highland News, for instance. For over 18 months, this Fairfax publication has never once reported on my court case. Even though 2 prominent councillors have been suing a simple ratepayer with 2 jobs and a mortgage, suing him for everything he owns, and all because of a 4-minute parody song. But funnily enough, this same paper has reported numerous times on the 2 councillors since the court case began, and the articles have always painted the councillors in a favourable light. However, when it comes to the 2 councillors dragging me through the courts for nearly 2 years, and all because of a 4-minute song that was clearly satire, the Southern Highland News is suspiciously quiet. That's a bit fishy if you ask me, and it certainly wouldn't pass a pub test. Take the radio station 2ST for instance. For decades, Graham Day has been postulating, pontificating, and constantly preaching to the community about everything that's...
Sorry. Oh, what did I just do?
Me have since been elected Mayor and Deputy Mayor of the Wingecarribee Shire. A 4-minute parody song. But funnily enough, this same paper has reported numerous times on the 2 councillors since the court case began, and the articles have always painted the councillors in a favourable light. However, when it comes to the 2 councillors dragging me through the courts for nearly 2 years, and all because of a 4-minute song that was clearly satire, the Southern Highland News is suspiciously quiet. That's a bit fishy if you ask me, and it certainly wouldn't pass a pub test. Take the radio station 2ST for instance. For decades, Graham Day has been postulating, pontificating, and constantly preaching to the community about everything that's right or wrong in the Highlands. But when it comes to my court case, for the last 2 years, he's said absolutely nothing. He's not said one word about a local investigative journalist being ruthlessly pursued in the Supreme Court. Not once has he ever mentioned to his listeners that two well-known and outspoken councillors are suing a ratepayer, a person who had to sell his family home to pay for the defence. But get this. In the last 2 years, Graham Day has interviewed the two councillors numerous times on his radio show without ever once asking them about the Supreme Court action. Not once. That's a bit fishy if you ask me, and it certainly wouldn't pass the pub test. Now, both these important local media outlets might try and tell you the court case is before the courts and therefore can't be reported on. But this can't be true, because the defamation cases involving Rebel Wilson, Jeffrey Rush, John Ibrahim and Craig McLaughlin have all been heavily reported on, before and after the cases, and all around the world. I've only just scratched the surface in telling you my story, but I hope it's enough of a true story for you to support me with my court case. I've already spent $60,000 on legal fees, so it's not like I haven't put my money where my mouth is. It's just that I've got nothing left. And I'm even having trouble cashing in some super because my case of hardship is so unique, they've never heard of anything like it. And so it's difficult for them to release my own funds, even to help support the fight of my life. So I need the help of the Highlands, please. As much for me as for the community. If our local newspaper and radio station are not prepared to report on my court case, then my Supreme Court hearing might just get to the bottom of why that's the case. Because if you ask me, there's something fishy going on around here, and this whole situation stinks.
There you go. So obviously set up a GoFundMe. It's interesting. And it's interesting how that Sue Chrysanthus client, and she's not concerned about him setting up a GoFundMe, but Shanks can't. Following serious concerns about the council's ability to function, Shelley Hancock made the decision to suspend Winter Caribou Council on the 3rd of March this year. The Small Business Report revealed a lack of transparency and consistency led to businesses speculating there is favouritism in the prioritisation process. The Finch report stated that on the upgrade to the Civic Centre, governance oversight management reporting on this significant and potential contentious project between 2016 and 2019 lacked transparency. It was stated in the minutes by the administrator of Inquiry Viv. A good example of how out of touch councillors were with their constituency was when a resident made their views known to a councillor about Station Street matter, and the reply stated, "And I'm the only one with the vote, so you don't count." So Ernest Consulting disclosed in the second report on planning, development and regulatory services that the public could have a perception of corruption based on the council's lack of transparency. It is acknowledged that legal advice may suggest to limit access. However, this simply leads to suspicion that the council is trying to suppress information. Adam made a complaint to Winter Caribou Council when they took down minutes prior to 2015. All previous minutes dating back as far as 2011 can be here. When provided the archive link, he explained to True Crime Weekly, "OMG, you've just put me on the mother load." So there you go. So what's your thoughts on that article? So it looks like we've got the Fixated "Never see you run with a sack, Dan. Just shows your left-leaning bias." Well, Anthony, you'll be very surprised. You'll be very surprised with my very next one, my very next story, actually. Thought maybe you were fair and balanced. I try to be fair and balanced. But I also don't like injustice, and this is definitely an injustice. Okay, so all right. So to make Anthony happy, for Guy Foley's office millions, Vic House Minister Martin Foley sells property for over $1 million. It's reserved to robo-debt guy Rodney Kagan just weeks before Dan Andrews gives multi-million-dollar COVID contract. Yes, that's right. All right. I really, I tried to be. This was actually sent. This was actually sent to me, and when I went to look True Crime Weekly, then I saw the Fixated Persons unit, and I grabbed this one. So let's have a look at this one. Well, that's right, chaotic corruption. Yeah. Anyway. So the sale of an office premises belonging to Victoria's Health Minister Martin Foley for more than $1 million over its reserve before a public auction to a big boss of a call centre who was coincidentally then handed a cushy $20 million plus government contract just weeks later by Premier Daniel Andrews' state Labor government has raised all sorts of curious questions. This is Gary Johnson reporting. Martin Foley is Victoria's Health Minister, who has become a familiar face in the state due to his occasional and often gaffe-prone appearances at press conferences and announcing the rising number of COVID-affected citizens. Martin Foley has frequently been trotted out when Premier Dan Andrews is unavailable, according to some political insiders, when especially bad news has to be conveyed and the Premier is looking for a convenient stooge. Wow. Hello, chaotic. I wondered where you'd been. Whenever there's an inexplicit spike or some other troubling information, it seems the word Julie goes out, send for Foley. It's not so much that Foley is seen as a safe pair of hands, more the case that as a loyal Dan devotee with seemingly no top job aspirations of his own, for Guy Foley, a walking, talking, charisma-free zone, is prepared to sacrifice himself for the common good. A man Dan Andrews can implicitly trust to carry out instructions, who'd throw himself on top of a grenade if that's what his master wanted him to do. These aren't my words, by the way, I'm just reading them. Andrews himself currently, of course, seems to be warming to his moniker of Dictator Dan, recently introducing new legislation to extend pandemics and enforce emergency laws, described by some civil rights campaigners as draconian and terrifying. What's in it for best mate and willing Lieutenant Foley? What could possibly inspire such naked devotion to the boss and cause? Is Victorian Labour squeaky clean? Well, they're not. They're probably not. Maybe, just maybe, the answer lies southeast of Melbourne on the picturesque Mornington Peninsula. In May this year, a ritzy duplex in which Minister Foley inherited an interest in 2007 via his deceased father's estate, sold for a tasty $4.855 million, well above market expectations. Indeed, some local real estate watchers claim the Mornington Peninsula property located at 5 Main Street was sold for over $1 million its reserve. Now that some exile from Main Street, that would make even Mick Keith and the rest of the remaining Rolling Stones proud. Foley has never actually resided in the property, and it was tenanted out, among others, as a former property developer by the name of John Woodman, whose company logo can still be seen on the exterior. Woodman has what's known in legal circles as a colourful past, featuring most recently in an IBAC anti-corruption inquiry in late 2020, when a phone call he made to a Liberal Party fundraiser was played, in which he said he'd consider donating to party funds on the condition if he was able to rely on the support of Victorian Party leader Michael O'Brien on unspecified state-based matters. Isn't that interesting that the guy that rented out Foley's property, a Labor minister's property, actually was a member of the Liberal Party? Wow. A self-confessed great supporter of the Liberal Party and reputed personal friend of ex-PM Tony Abbott. The IBAC inquiry heard that Mr. Woodman said in the call, "I've got a few things that I need to talk to Michael about. I need support at a state level, and depending on how these conversations go, I'm always happy to contribute." Now, it's hardly revolutionary news that a property developer is angling for a quid pro quo, but significantly less commonplace for that particular developer to be tenant of a serving Labor minister. And there's more. Oh, sorry to hear that, chaotic. Sorry to hear that, Dan. And there's more. The delighted buyer of the Mortisham duplex, none other than an investor by the name of Rodney Kagan, who is said to have saw it as having likely high value, declaring in genuine real estate gibberish that it had great potential upside. Rodney Kagan, surely that wouldn't be the same Rodney Kagan, founder and co-chairman of outsourcing firm Pro Group, the Rodney Kagan, an ex-alumnus of prestigious Mount Scopus Memorial College, the alma mater of another political heavyweight, Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg. Yep, that's him, same guy. And the Pro Group, one of the government's robo-debt collectors company, whose profits had soared exponentially since 2013, with federal government work for the company increasing by an estimated 700%. A Senate inquiry hearing in robo-debt in 2017 ascertained that Probe received commission on all robo-debts it collected, a payment arrangement claimed to be typical of that used for debt collection services by banks, energy retailers, and telcos. Left to carry the can at the hearing was Chief Operating Officer Jared Kagan, son of Rodney, proud purchaser of Foley's Mornington property, the one with the great potential upside. Friends in low places, you scratch my back, I rub yours maybe. Fast forward a month from the sale of the duplex in July this year, a contract to the value of $23 million was renewed for the purposes of undertaking contract tracing, call centre services, including performance of outbound calling activities to support DHHS COVID-19 contact tracing requirements on behalf of the Victorian Department of Health and Human Services. The successful contractor, Stella Asia Pacific, a company recently acquired by the aforementioned Pro Group, who proudly boast of their website of how they are the largest Australian-owned provider of customer contact and communication solutions in Australasia. Big business, big profits, lots of mates. What did Guy Foley know? A property developer tenant who was allegedly not adverse to a bit of politician palm greasing, and a new buyer paying well over the odds for a house whose company only 4 short weeks later is the recipient of a government-awarded multi-million contract. Conflict of interest much? Maybe Foley's not so dumb after all. We think the public should be told. True Crime Weekly News did send questions to Foley and asked the politician whether all recent events were just a big coincidence, and they did not receive a response. So tell me, what do you think? Coincidence or not? Or doesn't it matter? I'm about to get onto the feds. So you think it stinks, Anthony? Yeah. Well, I just find it's very interesting that the person that was renting the place was a Liberal Party member. All right. So let's get on to now. This is Twitter gossip. I've not found. I don't believe in coincidences either. This is in Twitter gossip. It says rumours are that there's going to be a leadership ballot this week. Apparently, Spud has the numbers. Libs Nat can see the writing on the wall for Morrison. He's in freefall. Coalition facing a wipeout at the ballot box with Morrison as PM. I'm a bit confused. Morrison changed the rule from 50% of the party room vote needed for a Libs bill to 66% of the party room. This made it harder to challenge for leadership, but not impossible. He needs a 2/3 majority. They changed the rules. So, as I said, this is just rumour. If Morrison got a whiff of challenge, would he go to the Governor-General and call a dissolution of government, take them all with him? Loyalty is not his strong suit. If he's going to do that, he'll need to see the GG tomorrow. So we go to the polls 11th of December. After that, it's the 18th, the Sunday before Christmas. Business would love that. And the next 2 Saturdays are Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Best solution for Morrison is to call an election first thing tomorrow for 33 days' time. Good for him. That will save his position. So, what do you think? So, this is the rumour that there's going to be a leadership spill. Would Morrison be better off doing a dissolving government and calling for an election and have it done at the polls, or is he gonna, or what would you do? So they need 66% of the party room, or 2/3 majority, to vote to spill. But is Morrison likely to do? Is he likely to face a spill, or will he just call an election? What do you reckon? He'd look better going to the polls. Well, you can say it, Dan. Hold on. He'd look better going to the. I'm scared. Well, the thing is, Anthony, the LNP in Victoria are as weak as water. Better off sticking. Well, I was told by the Electoral Commission that they're looking between March and May. That was the official date that they have been told, because they wanted to know what my availability between March and May was. But if this rumour is correct and Dutton is looking to do a leadership spill, it is likely he could call it for just before Christmas. We could be going to the polls before Christmas. What did someone say? The 11th of December. After that, it'd be the 18th. So he's either gonna have to go early or face Dutton in a leadership spill. What do you reckon? He won't do it before Christmas? Well, then he'll have to try and wait it out, won't he? Because how's he going to keep the party happy? Dutton has many sharp knives. Oh, just when you think the leadership couldn't get any worse, Dutton as Prime Minister just oh, gives me the shudders, I have to say. So he did change the rules, but they still need a 2/3 majority. So if Dutton's got 2/3, if there's 2/3 of the party room, apparently they can do it. So anyway, did I say they were any good? No, you didn't. Sorry. So Voldemort for PM. Maybe I'd put my hat in the ring, hey? Could you imagine the drums of war rhetoric if Spud runs as PM? ALP election rebuke. The member shall not be heard. Oh, dear. Okay. So just when you think things couldn't get any worse, they can. All right. Llama Girl has done it again for us. I had this on the page. We're going to find out today. We're going to get education about festivals and live concerts. And and she also got her brows tinted today, by the way. So, and here we go. So she got her eyebrows done today. So you're going to see new eyebrows today, just so that you're all aware. Hello, Spanky. How are you? Everyone's been away and coming back. All right. So this is the first one, I think. All right. Let's have a look. She did too. She got kicked off the 14. So she actually also had the comments off.
People that died were young. I think the oldest person that died was 27. The youngest was 14. And there's a 10-year-old that's in critical condition at a children's hospital. Obviously, this is a massive tragedy. I've just been sharing to show you a broad range of what's been said on social media. So there's people right now that are mad at Travis. There's people right now that are mad at the Kardashians. There's people right now that are mad at the promoters. There's victims that are speaking out and sharing their experience about what happened. There's literally people that were there that are not mad at Travis Scott, and they're more mad at the security that they felt weren't helping them. I've watched so many videos at this point where it seems like the crowd size and the surge of the crowd and how aggressive that crowd was made it hard and impossible for people to move. And I think before blaming anyone right now, the best thing to do would just to be have some compassion for the victims, their families, for the people that were injured, for the trauma that those people are experiencing. And, I don't think calling Travis a murderer or really anyone a murderer at this point helps anything. I was looking through the history of concerts, and here's the thing, you guys. Large crowds and general admissions.
All right, here we go. You're going to get it. You're going to get the history here.
Here's the thing, you guys. Large crowds and general admissions festivals are dangerous. And deaths have happened many times before. This is not the first time people have died and there's been mass casualties at a concert. There was an event with The Who in 1979. There was I don't even know, I think 20 people that died there, maybe more. There was an event, the Rolling Stones had a concert where 4 people died in the 1960s. Pearl Jam played in Germany and I think 10, maybe 12 people died at that concert. There's been people that have passed away at festivals, at country festivals this summer. There was a festival this summer where 4 people passed away. Sugarland had a concert and, their entire their stage collapsed and I think 6 or 8 people died.
Yeah, so she's going off about concerts where people have died.
Venue burnt to the ground and over 40 people died. There's just tragedies happen and it's easy to point fingers and to get angry, but there's honestly people beating. I think today I'm just trying to share what I'm seeing and I'm not trying to get stuck in the conspiracies. I'm not trying to get stuck there was one person that claimed that they had been injected with heroin and they had to get Narcan, but the police in the investigation or in the press conference basically said that a lot of people got trampled. And when you see the videos, I think it would be really hard to conclude that one person was running around causing deaths in multiple different areas. It's clearly that the crowd was very large, very aggressively moving back and forth, and no one had any place to move. If you want to see videos, check out my post, go on to TikTok and just put in the hashtag Astroworld, go on to Twitter and put in the hashtag Astroworld. You'll see from multiple different standpoints and viewpoints what it looked like at this event. It was, people were falling down and people were being trampled, literally to death. So I don't know. It could be that they didn't have the way that it was set up. It wasn't set up right. The promoters of these shows are the ones that are responsible for security. They're the ones that are responsible for the stage and, the crowd. It's not the responsibility of the performer on stage to manage the crowd. Travis stopped the show multiple times when he saw things happening and tried to alert security. But my husband and I were actually talking about this. There was a concert with Metallica and Guns N' Roses, like back in the 80s, in the 90s, early 90s. And people said, well, why wouldn't he just stop the concert? Stopping a concert when you have a large crowd like that could have incited a riot, because not everyone is seeing what's happening. There's 50,000 people, you have to remember that. And they're saying 300 people received care and 8 people died. So 300 people out of 50,000 isn't a huge overall percentage. It's a significant amount of people, but for the amount of people that were there, it's not a huge amount of people. So not everyone that was there was seeing what was happening. And so that, by just stopping, could have elicited a riot. So in the 80s, Metallica played a concert with Guns N' Roses, and James Hetfield got injured and got burned while he was on stage, and so they had to stop the concert and after playing half their set. And then Axl Rose, if you ever followed Guns N' Roses, back in the 90s, he was like a bitch, and he would always like bitch and complain, and like he wouldn't want to go on stage, and he would like whine and cry and.
Oh, she explains that, Bo, because apparently we've got to learn to live with COVID, but she's still in lockdown, but can go get her eyebrows done.
Show up late. And he decided he wasn't going to play that day. So after they paid all of this money to go to the show.
Your one who turned up, Spanky. One is quiet. I can't get one turned up any louder at the moment. That's as high as I can get. It's a quiet, so some of the quick clips are a little bit quieter, I noticed.
And they saw half of a Metallica concert. They rioted and they tore the place up. So they have to find a way to get people safely out of the venue. And my guess is that security was trying to manage what was happening while also finding a way to safely evacuate the situation and get people out there as quickly as possible without causing a riot. And police said that it was, everything was from the time it started to the time they got everyone out was 40 minutes, which is actually pretty good considering you had 50,000 people in there. Yeah. So I'm just trying to people are in my comments saying that I'm accusing this person or I'm accusing that person, and listen, I'm not trying to accuse anyone. I'm just trying to report on what I'm seeing. There's been a lot of talk on social media about what the Kardashians are doing or not doing. That doesn't mean that I have an opinion on that. I'm literally showing you a post and saying, okay, this is what the Kardashians are not doing, and people are frustrated that they haven't commented. My job is to say to you, okay, this is what these people are saying. I haven't said that I have an opinion on whether or not they've said anything. I haven't said that they should have an opinion. I haven't said anything.
She never says anything. All right. So now she's going to bring the Kardashians into it. Now, I believe that Kylie Jenner has actually...
I'm not trying to stir shit. The Kardashians are very involved with Travis Scott, and I think it would be really disingenuous to not point that out, being that Chris is the momager of everyone and heavily involved in everything that Kylie does. And this is her, I think they're engaged. Are they engaged? I don't even know. They're pregnant with their second child. It would be like Scott Disick or, Kanye or whatever. Chris has her hands in everything. So I'm literally just sharing, okay, this is what they're doing. They haven't said anything. Do they have to say anything? I don't know. They haven't. It's, you form your opinions. Yelling at me about it and saying that I'm reaching or stirring up shit doesn't help anything. I'm literally just telling you what's being said. Take a deep breath. I'm not calling Travis a murderer. I'm not calling anyone a murderer. I'm going to turn on comments just because I wanted to get that off my chest. I think everyone just needs to take a deep breath. And it literally just happened last night. I'm just trying to tell you a story. That's what I do on this page, is I share stuff. And on Saturdays, I don't make videos on YouTube. been to plenty of big concerts. I was actually just telling my husband, like, back in the 90s, I went to a huge festival, and it had, like, all the alternative bands. And if you remember alternative bands, they had tons of mosh pits. So very similar to the types of crowds that were at a Travis Scott venue. And so at that event, there was, like, No Doubt, there was Garbage, there was Candlestick, there was Bush was there. Remember Bush? They, like, remember Glycerine? There was a bunch of, like, Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop was there. Have you guys ever seen Iggy Pop play? He's insane. Talk about inciting a riot. That man will incite a riot. So, yeah, it was kind of like Lollapalooza before Lollapalooza, like, got rebooted kind of thing.
Okay. Night, Dan. All right, here's the next one. She's going to tell us about her concert history.
Was literally climbing the... Oh, okay. Yeah. It was kind of like Lollapalooza. But anyways, like, those guys were nuts. Like, Gwen Stefani was literally climbing the scaffolding and, like, getting people to go apeshit. People were getting, like, pulled out of the crowds. People were literally passing out. There was stretchers. People just, like, getting sick and stuff. Like, I stayed really far back and didn't want to be anywhere near the stage. I don't go to a lot of festivals because they can get really wild like that. Okay, first off, the Ashley is irrelevant. Everyone's reporting that one single security guard got hit with a needle and needed Narcan. That doesn't explain people getting trampled to death, which is why I'm not focusing on this massive drug conspiracy. Like, watch the videos and see for yourself. It's not some random guy that poked one security guard drugging everyone. People were getting crushed to death. They had nowhere to go. Listen to the victims there. People were passing out from lack of oxygen, being trampled. I don't understand why people are confused. Watch the videos I've shared. And it was creating panic. So when the crowd surges and people start falling down, they start panicking, and then that creates more of a surge, and then they get into what's called a sinkhole. I think it's hard for people to understand a crowd like this if you've never been in a crowd like this. You literally cannot physically move.
All right. So then...
It was hard because people couldn't pick up people. So if you watch the videos, it's impossible for people to move, and people are literally screaming for help. They're like, help me, help me, help me. But you're all falling on top of each other. You almost died there. Were you there, Love My Hand?
Now watch you get really excited now. Hello, Villanova.
I was not paused, though. Y'all kept saying I was paused, and I wasn't paused.
She was paused for 5 minutes.
For some reason, you guys kept saying I was paused, but I wasn't paused. So I just started a new live. But it wasn't paused on my end, so I don't know what happened. Maybe it was Instagram.
So she had 200 viewers all saying that she was paused, but it wasn't her, it was them. Right.
Hello. Anyways, what happened is a tragedy, and it's horrible, and the victims there, I feel terrible. I was not actually paused. on my end. So again, I'm going to just say that I was not paused. It might have looked paused for you, but my side was not paused.
If multiple people are telling you the same thing, then surely it means that there's a problem.
So it might have been an Instagram issue.
Well, so now it's Instagram's fault.
So I'm back. Hello. So I'm also not going to go on to this demonic, satanic bullcrap conspiracy, you guys. It's not helpful, and it's ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to go and say Satan was at this concert. Like, let's step into reality. Travis Scott is not Satan. There was not a satanic ritual at this concert. If you're starting to get yourself into conspiracies like that, please step into reality. Take a deep breath and don't drink the Kool-Aid.
All right, now she's talking about getting her eyebrows done.
Ridiculous. It's not helpful to the families that lost people. It's not helpful to the victims. It's like all over TikTok and it's all over Twitter.
There you go.
So
who knows, Anthony? I don't know what she's saying.
So everyone's saying like you can't believe that this crowd was so big after COVID. Okay, first of all, I'm not going to COVID.
All right, here we go. We're going to get lessons on COVID.
Shame because first of all, y'all, the world went back to work.
Apparently, the world went back to work.
And concerts are happening again. And
look at the look on her face. And concerts are happening again, by the way.
I wouldn't go, but Texas doesn't have restrictions. They can't force people to wear face masks. Even in the state that I live in, Minnesota, they cannot force people to wear face masks. They can't force people to get vaccinated. Events are happening again.
So there you go. Events are happening again. They can't force people to get vaccinated. Like you can in Australia. There's no job if you don't get vaccinated.
Some events are requiring people to take COVID tests. Other events are requiring people to bring their vaccine cards. But there's people going to concerts all over the place. I think the COVID shaming and all of that stuff, as much as y'all know how I feel about it, I'm just totally past that. My family doesn't do that kind of stuff. Hell, I went and got my eyebrows done and I got them tinted, which is why they look all wanky today, because honestly, when you get your eyebrows tinted, the dye stays on and they're...
So she had her eyebrows tinted today. So let me just play that back for you.
Because honestly, when you get your eyebrows tinted, eyebrows done, and I'm just totally past that. My family doesn't do that kind of stuff. Hell, I went and got my eyebrows done and I got them tinted, which is why they look all wanky today, because honestly, when you get your eyebrows tinted, the dye stays on and they're not the actual shape of what my eyebrows look like. But I had two people in the room with me and I was all like, oh my God, am I going to get COVID? And I'm vaccinated. But what other people do, can't control them.
So there you go. She had her eyebrows tinted. That's why her eyebrows look all funny today. No.
If they tint your eyebrows, they put dye on them, so it's like not the normal shape, and they're really thick right now. It'll be gone tomorrow. Oh, you're fully vaccinated thanks to you? Oh, yay! I'm glad.
Mr. Gregory, really?
I went to a show and got COVID. Someone asked about them. I'm sorry. Anyways, someone made a comment about my makeup, and I was literally just responding. So anyways, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's happening in other states. Like, I don't know if concerts are happening in Minnesota, to be honest, like, because I don't go to them. Concerts are happening here. Events are happening here. Sports are happening here. So, I don't know. Everyone has a choice that they want to make, and they have to do at this point. Like, you can only do so much. You know, I'll always encourage people to be vaccinated, and that's what I will stand on.
So, yes, it seems like the friendship between Amy King and KJ could be gone, because Amy King has actually said that neither her husband nor anyone in her or her mother are going to the trial, and they've got no one staying with them. So, and they don't need any protection. So that goes against everything that Katie Joyce said the other day in that live that we watched. So let's watch this one.
We are still in lockdown too, for the most part. Anyways.
She's saying that they're still in lockdown for the most part. She went and got her eyebrows done. You can't say you're in you can't say that you're in lockdown if you went and got your eyebrows tinted. I'm sorry. That's not lockdown.
Long story short, I think I was just interested in what happened at the event today. I think it's very tragic. I'm just sharing what I'm finding online while I'm bored at home and reading things, and my son's sleeping or whatever.
She's bored at home.
I went and got my eyebrows done, and we were talking about it with my hair people and brow people, and everyone's just absolutely shocked by it.
Yes, I have seen the deleted post. It was very interesting about being thrown under a bus. So now she's thinking Amy's throwing her under a bus. I also have had it confirmed that she's due to have a deposition. She's got to reply to Chris Lee on one day and have a deposition the next day. And that's happening next week. So she's starting to spiral. So we're going to expect to see some more interesting stuff come out in the next few days, because next week it's showtime.
So it's sad, and it's like whenever there's something like this that happens, it's tragic.
Actually, it might be later this week, because it's Sunday night, isn't it? Yes, so I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday, or Tuesday and Friday, sometime during this week.
You had people at the event, and he's okay. That's good. Yes, 8 people died, and then a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old passed away, and then the oldest person was 27. It was a young crowd. I'm glad if you were there and attended, you're safe. I'm glad if you had a family member and is okay. I'm sure it was very, 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 very traumatic. I'm sure it's going to be very traumatizing for the people that did survive. There's a lot of people, I was actually reading posts on Twitter, that literally they had no clue what happened until they got home and saw the news. Did I see Travis Scott's Instagram stories? I did, and I shared them on my page.
Okay. You're talking about somebody says they got a broken ankle at the concert.
Even if people say that he encourages rioting or whatever, he was not encouraging rioting last night. His behavior wasn't inciting violence last night. His actions were creating chaos. That's not what was happening last night. So what's happened in the past doesn't necessarily matter in the context of what happened last night. The VIP breach was definitely not a good sign. I agree with that. I think going into the day, there was a lot of red flags of the energy of the crowd. And energy of the crowd can definitely dictate what happens. Your husband received many EMS calls at that location. I was reading that they had a timer on, and then the way that the stage was set up, it was only his stage. So there was 2 stages, but only 1 stage for his show. And then his show was a half an hour after the last person performed. And so people had a lot of time to get over there. But then as the countdown was slowing down and getting towards 0, people started panicking because they wanted to get to the show. And apparently that's when the surge starts, and then the concert starts, and people are trying to get closer to the stage. And I don't know if you've ever been to a general admission show, but there's always people behind you that are trying to push forward and get ahead of you. And so you can never actually be comfortable in your spot because people always want to find a way to get in front and get to the closest spot possible. So I'm guessing is that people were already maxed out and had nowhere to move, but then people were still trying to push into the crowd. Oh, she said she got a broken ankle from it. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I hope you're okay. Yeah. They're always pushing in at events like that, too.
Yeah, she hasn't been to a concert in 9 years. Here we go. Which means that she hasn't been to any Toads concerts. Why hasn't she been to Toads concerts? If I had a husband and he was a musician and he had his band, I'd be going to a concert.
And there wasn't any mosh pits. If you watch the videos, they didn't even have space for mosh pits. I was looking at videos of his other shows, and other shows had open mosh pits, but this one, there was none. Yeah, I stopped going to general admission festivals like that. I haven't been to a concert in years, you guys. Honestly, I think the last one I went to was Gwen Stefani. I don't even know. 9 years ago. I haven't been to a concert in a while.
No one.
Netflix.
To be honest, not a lot of people have because of COVID. So let's face it, not a lot of people have.
I think in this case, Travis stopped the concert multiple times to see what was going on. And people mosh to this kind of music. Yes. If you've ever been to a hip hop concert, and I've been to plenty of hip hop concerts.
Yes, I have heard his music, Bo, but that's not the point.
It's like in the early 2009 and like late 90s, I was a huge Atmosphere fan, and I would go to like Atmosphere shows constantly. And those kinds of concerts can get, and Atmosphere is like a hip hop. They're like an independent album, indie rappers or whatever. Not like Travis Scott, but those shows can get super rowdy, and people jump up and down, and mosh pits do happen. It happens at rap shows. Like, it happens at hip hop shows. I was at Beastie Boys concerts, and there were mosh pits. I've been to plenty of hip hop shows where there's been mosh pits. I was at an Erykah Badu concert, and it was at First Avenue in Minneapolis. Erykah Badu. If anyone knows who Erykah Badu, she's like an R&B singer. And it's not a very big venue, but literally we were like squished. We couldn't move. There was nowhere to move. No room. When I was at a No Doubt concert in '96, there was a mosh pit. There's like mosh pits at all kinds of concerts. Hell, when I was at Gwen Stefani's show, the people that were in general, like on the floor, were like moshing at her concert. I don't know. You know who Erykah Badu is? Erykah Badu, hands down, seriously, to this day, one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Ever in my entire life. I went to a Roots concert too. They're another R&B band, or not R&B, they're hip hop. Same thing. Those shows can get really wild. I saw Erykah Badu at First Avenue in Minneapolis. I'm 40. I'm almost going to be 43. I'm going to be 43 soon. When I saw No Doubt in '97, people were moshing. So at the festival I went to, people went nuts when Iggy Pop was on stage. I've never seen people go more crazy than ever when I saw Iggy Pop on stage. Like, people were literally like losing their minds. I'm gonna be 43 in 4 days. November 10th.
Okay. Trigger warning. All right, I'm not going to talk about that one. She shows footage of the concert. Not going to show that one. Not going to do that one. All right. So we'll do this one. This is the end.
I have to go to bed. I'm really tired. You guys have a good night. Be safe. Be kind. Don't jump to conclusions. And yeah.
So there you go.
It's very scary.
So there you go. That is, I'm just going to put in WI or ACB Reddit. And we're going to find that deleted post. And then I'll have to go and get ready for work. All right. I'm sure it would be here. So this is interesting. Amy confirms that neither she or her mother are going to the trial. My mother, my husband and I will not be going to the trial and nobody is staying at our house. Just setting the record straight. So there you go. Amy has set the record straight that nobody is staying at their house. So what's this one? She was deleting stuff very quickly. So what's that one? Meanwhile, over at Kardashian Land, the ladies celebrate Chris's birthday. So she was having to go at the Kardashians for celebrating Chris's birthday and not making a comment. So she marked the one underneath was the deleted tweet, was it? Okay. This one? "23 Instagram posts in 11 hours. She did 23 Instagram posts in 11 hours. Yeah. Oh, yes. So when someone tries to throw you under the bus, that was what this is now deleted. Yeah. So she's not happy with Amy. So there you go. So I think we might not be seeing any more 3130 clothes from KJ for a while. Well, it's always somewhere. So now here's the question: are we going to have all of Amy's dirty linen and laundry? There's another one where she says she doesn't need moral support. That's right. I think she did say that. I'd say that Amy started to see. I reckon Amy might have popped into the Reddit and started to see everything that was written about her. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to love you all and leave you all. Now, I won't be on tomorrow night because I've got choir tomorrow night and I'm not sure what I'm going to do because I'm the other side of the city. So I won't see you until Tuesday night. But until then, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'll keep you up to date with stuff as they go on. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for being part of this awesome community. Make sure you go like Andrew's page, which I've pinned to the top here, because as I said, he saved my site, he saved my music program, my music project. He saved it. So Andrew, click on the link, Andrew Hansen Music Facebook page, and like that page. Because as you know, people that support me and help me, I will promote. So there's a few people that I have done that to. So yes, make sure you do that. And a big thank you again to Andrew, because I know on Friday nights he does a live crossover. So he does live music. Not a problem, Andrew. And we'll have to have you back on my stream again and do another concert for us. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all again soon.